Have you ever thought that after turning 60, life would simply slow down, but never expected it to become this deep? Maybe you believed, like many of us, that youth is for learning, growing, and exploring. And old age. Just a quiet pause, a time to step back from the game, a stretch of days spent counting backward. I used to think that way too. But one day after I turned 60, something shifted. There were no more packed schedules, no more races to win, no more applause or expectations, just me. And in that silence, I began to hear things I had never heard before: my own inner voice, the sound of stillness, the quiet beauty of the simple moments I once overlooked. Hello and welcome to Mindful Healing, your companion in reflection, not to teach or preach, but to simply sit beside you as a friend. Today, I'm not here to talk about regrets or offer polished advice. I just want to share with you, as someone who's been through it, 5 profound lessons that growing older has taught me. These aren't lessons from books. They came from the days I sat alone with my thoughts, the times I had to let go of things I once thought I couldn't live without, in the quiet moments when I finally understood that life no longer asked me to be more. It only asked me to be here. In this video, you and I will sit together and explore what truly brings inner peace when there's nothing left to prove, how to recognize the wisdom of aging instead of focusing on what's been lost, and why. Some truths only reveal themselves after 60. So stay with me, not to hear how to live the right way, but simply to remember aging isn't about fading. It's about blooming quietly, deeply, beautifully. There comes a moment in life when you suddenly realize the people who once walked beside you year after year, people who once felt as familiar as your own breath, are no longer there. Maybe it was a childhood friend, a coworker who stood by you through countless chapters, or a life partner who shared decades of your youth. At first, it feels like an emptiness, as if you've been left behind. You might feel sadness, maybe even resentment. You flip through old photographs just to feel that warmth again. But eventually you come to a truth that is both painful and profoundly real. No one can walk with you for your entire journey. Not because they're bad, not because you weren't enough, but because life moves according to its own rhythms and everyone has their own path to walk, their own lessons to learn. After turning 60, this lesson becomes clearer than ever. When your children begin lives of their own, when friends no longer gather the way they used to, when loved ones gradually fade away or are simply no longer part of your everyday world, and you might ask, what do I have left? And the answer, though it may surprise you, is simple. You still have yourself. You are the only one who has walked with you from your first breath to your silver hair. The only one who has seen it all, the wins and the wounds, the laughter and the tears. The only one who has never left. And that's what aging teaches you, gently but deeply. Learn to befriend yourself, to stop expecting others to fill the gaps, to stop depending on external validation to feel worthy, to stop looking outside for what can only be found within. It looks like this: sitting with a quiet cup of tea in the morning, listening to your own heart, recognizing that you are here now, and being grateful just for that. Youth teaches us how to live with the world, but age teaches us how to live with ourselves. When I was younger, I thought happiness was something I had to earn. I believed it came at the end of a long road, after success, after recognition, after everything finally made sense. I chased it in job titles, in applause, in checking off goals one by one. But every time I reached a milestone, the joy was brief, fleeting, like trying to hold water in my hands. After 60, I began to see happiness differently. I no longer look for it in big moments. I find it in the small ones. A soft morning light falling through the window, the smell of warm tea, a smile exchanged with a stranger on a quiet walk. I've realized that happiness isn't something to chase. It's something to notice. It's not a reward, it's a way of being. And the beautiful thing is, the simpler your joy, the longer it lasts. When I let go of the pressure to be more, I started to see what was already here. I don't need the house to be spotless or the plans to be perfect. I don't need people to approve of me. I don't even need everything to go my way. I just need enough presence to see the beauty in what is not what should have been. One of the most peaceful truths I've learned is this: happiness does not shout. It whispers, and the older you get, the more you hear it. Because with age, your heart softens. Your expectations calm down. You no longer need to be impressed, you just want to feel alive. And suddenly, when that flower blooming outside your window, it feels like a miracle. That old song you once danced to in your 20s, it feels like coming home. So if you're still waiting for happiness to arrive in a big dramatic way, maybe it's already here. Quiet, simple, but ready for you to notice. Because growing older taught me joy isn't found in having more. It's found in needing less. When we're young, we're taught to hold on to dreams, hold on to people, hold on to anything that gives us meaning, identity, or hope. And for a while, that makes sense. Clinging feels like commitment. Fighting feels like love. Refusing to let go feels like strength. But then life begins to change. People leave, plans fall apart, and the things we held on to begin to hurt more than they help. It took me many years and many heartbreaks to understand this. Letting go is not giving up, it's growing up. There was a time I held on to a relationship long after it had turned cold. I told myself, maybe if I try harder, but no matter how much I gave, I kept losing pieces of myself in the process. There was a job I stayed in because I feared the unknown. A version of myself I kept pretending to be just to make others comfortable. But one day something inside me whispered, it's okay to stop carrying what no longer fits who you are. That whisper became the beginning of a new kind of strength, the strength to let go without anger, to release, without needing closure, to say goodbye with gratitude. In Buddhist teachings, there's a beautiful truth. You only lose what you cling to. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't love. It means you've loved enough to release. It means you trust that life has seasons and some things are only meant to blossom for a while. Now, after 60, I practice letting go as a form of daily renewal. Letting go of the need to be right, the need to be understood, the pressure to be anything other than who I am now. And in that release, I found something I never expected: peace. Peace not from control, but from surrender. Not from fixing everything, but from allowing things to unfold. So if you're holding on to something or someone because you fear the emptiness that might come after, remember this: letting go doesn't leave you empty. It makes space for healing, for clarity, and for something new to find its way in. When your young time feels endless, you spend it freely without counting. There's always another tomorrow, another phone call, another chance to say I love you. But after 60, time feels different. It's not that you fear it, you just start to feel it more fully, more clearly. Every moment becomes more precious. Every conversation feels like a choice, not a habit. And love becomes deeper, quieter, more sacred. You no longer love to possess. You love to appreciate, to be present, to witness someone's presence, not change it. I used to think love meant doing more, proving myself, fixing problems, always being available. But now I know the most powerful kind of love is often the simplest. The kind that says, I see you, I hear you, I am here with you. With age, I've learned to say I love you without hesitation, forgive without waiting for an apology, hold someone's hand just a little longer, and be fully present during a simple dinner, a quiet walk, a brief phone call. Time is no longer something I try to control. It's something I try to honor. And honoring time means this, not wasting it on grudges, petty conflicts, or things that don't nourish the soul. It means choosing presence over perfection, choosing truth over approval, choosing depth over noise. There's something about growing older that teaches you to love more honestly, not for what someone gives you, but simply because they are. And in turn, you begin to love yourself in that same way gently, without conditions. When you're young, you want love to be loud, grand gestures, perfect words. But after 60, you begin to understand that the most profound love is the kind that asks for nothing and yet gives everything. So if you've ever felt that time is slipping away, remember you don't need more time. You just need to be more in it. Because when you truly show up with your heart, your attention, your gratitude, even a single moment can become eternal. And love in that moment becomes sacred. There's a quiet lie that creeps in with age. It whispers, it's too late now. Too late to change. Too late to try something new. Too late to become someone you've always wanted to be. But let me tell you this gently but firmly. It's never too late. You're not too old to begin again. Not too old to dream, to create, to grow, to love. Not too old to feel joy in your bones or laughter in your chest. Not too old to start over, not from scratch, but from experience. One of the most liberating truths I've learned after 60 is this. You don't have to keep being who you used to be. You're allowed to change your mind, to leave what no longer fits, to write a new story, one that reflects the person you are now, not the person you once had to be. Maybe you've always wanted to paint, to travel, to reconcile with someone from your past, or maybe to finally make peace with yourself. Whatever it is, don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. The moment is this one right here, right now. I've seen people in their 70s fall in love again. People in their 80s start writing poetry. People in their final years begin meditating for the first time and finally feel what peace truly is. You don't need to be fast. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing. Willing to take one small step, to try, to open your heart to the possibility that life still has something beautiful to offer you. Not despite your age, but because of it. Aging is not closing a book. It's turning a page. And who says the final chapters can't be the most meaningful of all? So if you're wondering, is it too late for me? Let this be your answer. No, it's never too late. You are not finished. You are just becoming. So here we are at the end of this gentle journey. 5 lessons, not taught in classrooms, not found in textbooks, but whispered quietly by life itself through the years, through the changes, through the letting go. Let's remember them one more time. No one stays with you forever except yourself, so cherish your own company. Be kind to your own heart. Happiness is simpler than we were taught. It lives in the small things, a warm cup of tea, a silent sunrise, a soft breath. Letting go is a form of strength. Not everything is meant to stay, but everything teaches us something before it leaves. Love deepens and time becomes sacred. So love more honestly and treat time like the gift it truly is. You're never too old to begin again. There is always a new story waiting to be lived if you're willing to say yes. Maybe aging isn't about fading after all. Maybe it's about blooming quietly, inwardly, truthfully. And maybe this is the most beautiful season yet. Because now we're not trying to impress anyone. We're not running, we're not proving, we're simply being. And in that being, in that quiet presence, we finally meet the part of ourselves that was there all along, just waiting for us to slow down long enough to see it. So if you're listening to this and you're somewhere in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, please know this: you are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not finished. You are growing into a wiser, gentler, more luminous version of who you've always been. Let that be your comfort. Let that be your peace. And above all, let that be your reminder. The best is never behind you. The best is within you. And it's still unfolding one breath, one moment, one soft step at a time. Thank you for being here. With love, Mindful Healing.